I'm going to show you evidence as to why I believe that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is totally in on this invasion of Ceuta and Melilla, the Spanish autonomous zones in Morocco's northern border, okay? I've said before, this guy is one of the most pro-Israel, staunchly pro-Israel allies in the Trump administration. So dangerous, so dangerously obsessed with Israel. So here's the thing, okay? There was, back in April, there was a U.S. congressional report written, and I have the document right over here. And in the report, this is the first time, by the way, we're seeing the United States take such a strong stance on Ceuta and Melilla and just straight up saying that it's actually Moroccan territory. So this is what the report stated, and I'm going to explain why it directly relates to this recent invasion. The committee continues assistance from Morocco in support of the United States national security interests and directs no less than $20 million under the national security investment programs and not less than $20 million under foreign military financing programs. The committee notes the historic alliance between the United States and Morocco as formalized in the 1786 Morocco-American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. The committee notes that the Spanish-administered cities of Ceuta and Melilla are located in Moroccan territory and remain the subject of Morocco's long-standing claim. The committee supports efforts by the Secretary of State to encourage diplomatic engagement between Morocco and Spain on the future status of Ceuta and Melilla. Well, the Secretary of State sure as hell doing that now, isn't he? The Secretary sure as hell is encouraging diplomatic engagement between Morocco and Spain, isn't he? Now wait, it gets much worse. There's a guy, and he works for a think tank in Washington, D.C. His name's Michael Rubin. Let me actually pull up the document. Michael Rubin here it is. Michael Rubin, writing for the American Enterprise Institute as recently as March of this year, argued that Morocco should take back control of Ceuta and Melilla on the grounds that NATO wouldn't be able to do very much. Now, this is the guy. Let me share my full screen here so you guys can see this better. Morocco should send a new green march into Ceuta and Melilla. American Enterprise Institute has been heavily lobbying the Trump administration since the beginning of this current administration to recognize Morocco's claims to Ceuta and Melilla. Heavily lobbying these guys. I mean, very much so. Michael Rubin, who's staunchly pro-Israel Zionist, and one of the main reasons he's doing this is because of the expansion of the Abraham Accords, strengthening Morocco, which joined the Abraham Accords, and then also kind of, doing it also to punish Spain. And I want you guys to read just how psychopathic this man actually is in regards to this. He goes on, and I want you guys to read about the way he actually does this. The region was Moroccan for far more than a millennia before Spain's imperial arrival. Moroccans have many internal debates, but sovereignty over territories that European colonists seized is not one. And the way he goes about it says Moroccans should gather, send bulldozers to the border, and then enter Ceuta and Melilla unarmed to raise the flag. Sanchez and the Spanish press bleat, but they have no grounds to act. Nor, for that matter, would NATO, even if Moroccan forces enter the towns to restore order and reorganize the dispatch of settlers across the state of Gibraltar and back to Spain. I mean, he's just straight up stating exactly what's happened. This organization, this think tank, led by Michael Rubin, or the senior fellow, what's happening right now is exactly what was written out back in March, and then the congressional report in April, and now it's happening right in front of our eyes. This is not, I'm getting real sick of these people online. Oh, this is a conspiracy, or oh, this is like a conspiracy tinfoil hat sort of thing. Don't play stupid with me, okay? I think that if you've watched my channel for long enough, you know that everything I show you guys is straight up documents. This isn't a Washington, D.C. think tank. A guy wrote it. A U.S. congressional committee report puts out in April that the United States recognizes that it's actually Moroccan territory. This think tank guy who's been pressuring the Trump administration nonstop to basically do exactly what's happening now is happening. Marco Rubio, obsessed with Israel, okay, is going about this. Don't play stupid with me. The guy, one of the House representatives, I can't remember the name of the exact House representative. Let me see. Do I have that article as well? I do. Here it is. U.S. Congressional Committee report. This is what I wanted to. I was reading to you guys as well. In the House of Representatives, again, has formally prescribed it as located in Moroccan territories. But what's the name of the specific House rep that I wanted to read to you guys? It'll pop up in my mind while I'm doing it. Oh, here it is. Madrid already has a taste. Diaz Balart is also counted among Secretary of State Marco Rubio's closest congressional allies. Diaz, here it is. Diaz Balart is also counted among Secretary of State Marco Rubio's closest congressional allies, a proximity that lends institutional gravity to every word he utters on foreign affairs. The Florida congressman has already provoked Madrid weeks earlier. In an interview published in May by the Spanish newspaper, he declared unequivocally that Ceuta and Melilla are not in the geographic territory of Spain, but in the territory of Morocco. Okay? What is this guy? Diaz Balart must also be Cuban American, right? He has to be. I mean, he's also from Florida. His name is Diaz Balart, and he's a neocon right wing. So I'm going to assume, if we go to my website, Votelog, I'm going to assume that he's also Cuban American, and he's also incredibly pro-Israel. Oh yeah. Oh god. Oh god. Plus 70, or oh gosh, plus 75 pro-Israel. There's no way, and he's a white looking. He has to be, a staunch Cuban pro-Israel. This is exactly what's going on, just like Marco Rubio. Okay, they're obsessed with Israel. They have this animosity towards Spain. They're mad at Spain because of the Iran war as well. So then you have this think tank, right, that Michael Rubin is writing on, stating, why don't they just go ahead and have the Moroccans just fully go in and stick the Moroccan flag, and Spain won't be able to do anything. Why don't they just go ahead and do it? That's exactly what's happening. You know why they also really want to push this? Well, again, because Morocco is part of the Abraham Accords, and also because during the Iran war, a lot of you guys might have heard that Spain wouldn't let the United States use its airspace. Now, the airspace over Ceuta and Melilla was not small, so it really didn't impact it too much. What really impacted it was more so the Spanish mainland airspace that forced instead the United States to go through France and Germany. Okay, but now if you give Ceuta and Melilla fully recognize it as Moroccan, and they've already been building, I believe, they're doing a lot of drone building, like a drone factory. They're strengthening ties with Morocco, and they want to strengthen these ties to allow Morocco now to basically be a closer U.S. ally and to have better control over that part of the region. This is what's all happening, and they're all kind of in cahoots. Now, the article goes on and it says, he added that their future is established, negotiated, and discussed between friends and allies, and that formulation that treated the question over sovereignty as an open diplomatic file rather than a settled matter. Spain's alarm over the trajectory of these developments predates even the committee's text. On April 20th, the Spanish outlet reported that the White House was handling a dossier that included references to Ceuta and Melilla favorable to Morocco's position. And here's the Spanish outlet that's reporting on that. Let me go to English. The White House is working with a report against Spain that includes references to Ceuta and Melilla favorable to Morocco. It's all, I hate these pop-up things. Everything is happening just as expected. This is why, this weird freaking pop-up must have been a really crappy app. This is why, it's so funny because they make the Trump administration seem like they really care so much about, ensuring the whiteness of Europe and making sure that Europe stays demographically European. Now, Ceuta and Melilla, they are in the African continent. So I recognize that. I recognize that they're in they're in North Africa. But what I find so interesting is that right now what we're starting to see in the X on social media among the right wing and among Fox News is they're portraying this as some sort of Islamic invasion, and that it's actually Pedro Sanchez's fault, when in reality it's an invasion that's caused by the Trump administration in order to make Pedro Sanchez look bad, in order to punish him, in order to strengthen relations with an Israel bought-out government of Morocco, and to basically advance their own interests and to punish Spain because of the Iran war. And they're making it seem like this Islamic invasion. The Israelis are loving it on X right now. If you're reading what they're saying, they're stating that these are, that this has to happen, that this is good. And I already lost, because I have my YouTube analytics, my videos. I can see, how many views I get on my videos and stuff. And I could tell that I already lost some some of my Moroccan followers, which makes me sad. Because I mean, we're talking about geopolitics and we're talking about government. What I would say is that if I was Moroccan, I would kind of think, okay, Spain controls these cities in the tip of Morocco, but if those cities are then brought back into Morocco and part of Moroccan territory, basically all of Morocco now is fully owned by Israel. So which one is better? I personally would rather have the actual land kind of administered and controlled right now by Spain versus having an entire Israeli bought out government from tip to tip, from every single part. I'd rather have the former. I'm really, I'm not really into the idea of a totally Zionist bought government from tip to tip. Now what? You get more U.S. airplanes flying over. You strengthen ties with the Abraham Accords. You have this totally Zionist bought out government. It doesn't benefit you guys. But Spain having control of those two cities is really the main concern here. Personally, I can't get behind that right now. Now, if it was down the road and we knew that this wasn't being used for Zionist nefarious purposes, that would be one thing. But it's so obvious what's happening now. It's to the point where you're just kind of sick. And again, what's funny is that the national security strategy of 2025 stated that the United States has a vested interest in making sure Europe remains European. Now, I guess the Trump administration was like, well, technically, this is not in Europe, so we don't care if it gets brought back to Morocco. I guess they totally just wanted to drop their national security strategy. In their mind, maybe this is in the national security strategy of the United States and to punish Spain. That's exactly what's happening. And most likely, this is going to help the right-wing party in Spain. They're going to use this as great propaganda now. That's what we're going to start to see as well. It's disgusting. Keep Marco Rubio out of office. Now, I want to go back to this Michael Rubin guy. He talks about how the NATO is a mutual defense alliance based on membership. Article 5 states the parties agree that an armed attack against one or more of them in Europe or North America shall be considered an attack against all. They specifically state Europe or North America. Sanchez should do the right thing, make good on his anti-colonial rhetoric, and end Spain's occupation in Africa. Meanwhile, authorities should begin preparations to receive displaced Spanish settlers, whether Madrid acquiesces or not. Holy moly. This is crazy. Oh my gosh, dude, the government's totally Zionist through and through, and they're listening to this guy. This is crazy. I don't know. I'm like, wow. I need a moment to soak this in. A Zionist think tank wrote a report back in March, the beginning of this year, and in spring, there was this Zionist push to make this happen. Now, all of a sudden, we're seeing this invasion. They're blaming it on the dirty jihadi Muslim Islamic invasion, while in reality, they're the ones concocting and doing all of this, and they're just using the Moroccan Muslims as pawns to get their interests, to just push their interests through. And at the same time, they're causing a rift between Moroccans and everybody else. I know I have a lot of Moroccan followers that are fully on board with what I'm saying, and then others that are like, no, it should be part of Morocco. And I'm not even putting my stance on that. But what's interesting is they're causing all of these rifts. Everybody's fighting with everybody. And the one that actually advances Zionist interests. I mean, you have to hand it to them how much is happening behind the scenes. It's quite shocking.